Thank you for joining us this week. So much to get to on this episode. So much, so much. First, want to start out with Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. So, Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, Tammy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You sounded
I'm not
like
Hispanic, y'all.
I know, but still, it matters. Representation matters, even though
It
you're not
does
Hispanic.
but I'm not Hispanic. But thank you though.
I'm still wishing all a happy Hispanic Heritage Month, acknowledging it. So, also happy Batman Day.
Absolutely not.
You love DC. You love Batman. Today is
I do
Batman
not
Day.
love Batman. Who told you I love Batman?
If you love Wonder Woman, you have to love her side piece,
I
Batman.
absolutely do not need to love her sidekick. Batman is a rich man with gadgets.
I like Batman. So you're on the whole Batman's not a superhero.
I mean, no, he's a superhero. He's just not super.
Okay. Well, I am going to say happy Batman Day. And so when I find out when Wonder Woman Day is, I will let you know. Okay.
Thank you. It's probably International Women's Day, but thank you.
That she deserves her own day. Wonder Woman is kick ass.
She is kick ass. I agree.
All right. So, and also, just a few quick pop follow-ups. Send a shout out since we're congratulating people. Britney Spears got engaged, so congratulations to her. Octavia Spencer made a bit of news when she posted on Britney's post, make them sign a prenup, and then that kind of went viral, and all the fans jumped in on it too. And her fiance had a great response to it. He's like, "Yeah, we're signing the prenups. I gotta protect my Jeep and my sneaker collection." So, but in all seriousness, congratulations to Brittany. Also, you remember when we talked about Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis and their bathing etiquette? Would you call it etiquette? What would you?
Their nasty ways.
Their lack of regular bathing.
Nasty ways.
Well, last week or the week before on College Game Day, Ashton Kutcher was at the Iowa State game with ESPN doing the game day show. And while he was on, all you could hear in the background, the fans started to chant for him,
take a shower. Take a shower. My bad.
Oh, so I guess if you were there, you would have been one of those fans.
Hey, yeah, take a shower. I'd have been starting them off. I'd have been like, y'all, let's start ranting. Let's start chanting. Take a shower. They'd be like, yeah, that's funny. I'd be like, wait. We'll wait for you to get on the camera. All right, there you go, y'all. Take a shower. That would have been me. Y'all. And then bathe your kids. I would have said, bathe your kids.
Yeah, I don't know how that became a thing. And then, more and more people coming out talking about they're not necessarily inclined to bathe on the regular. And that's just not a good look.
And they thought it was a defense of them. And it just made you look nasty with them. Come on now.
Yeah, and it's not a good smell. It's not a good look. It's not a good smell.
I see what you did there, Eddie.
You see what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, you're learning to appreciate my wackiness. I would say genius, but
Yeah, she's special, y'all. She's special.
I am. I blame it on my mama. If y'all know what kind of week I had, you would understand. Yeah, so the crowd was chanting, take a shower and all of that, which, on one hand, you almost kind of feel bad. And I'm like, God, we're trolls. Is that the society we live in? But on the other hand, it's like, dude, you brought it upon yourself by admitting that you don't bathe on the regular. Like, you have this big ass, beautiful probably custom built house with no telling how many bathrooms, and they're rarely used. In this day, especially in this day and age with this nasty ass Rona going around, it's like, yeah, bruh, you know. So
take a shower.
Take
That's
a
all I'm
shower.
saying.
Also in follow up, just we talked about it before. Marilyn Manson, T.I., and Tiny, they all had various pending sexual assault cases, and for both sets of people, Marilyn Manson and T.I. and Tiny, the charges were dropped in some of those cases due to the statute of limitations. Not that they were innocent, not that they didn't find any proof. It's just the statute of limitations had expired. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with the rest of the pending charges, because they have quite a few cases pending against them, both of them or all of them. So, and also we talked about Nicki Minaj. Her husband is a convicted sex offender.
He's a rapist, y'all.
And he failed to we talked about it before, but he actually failed to register as a sex offender in California, so he's facing another bid. He pled guilty just this past week for failing to register, and he's facing another bid of about 10 years. Yeah. And so I think I remember telling you now, because we were trying to figure out why all of a sudden Nicki Minaj just starts harassing this woman and turns her fans loose on this woman, gets her fans to harass this woman, and all of this stuff. And I told you now that part of it probably makes a little bit more sense, because if you can get her to drop the charges, then technically, or if you can get her to recant her story, there are no charges to drop. He's already been tried and convicted. But if you can get her to recant her story and say that it wasn't true, then I guess you're thinking technically he wouldn't be guilty of anything, since he would no longer be a sex offender. He wouldn't have to register. So, that's just my dime store Perry Mason theory about it all. I guess just trying to make something so ridiculous make a little bit of sense. Not that I'm justifying it, but, so we'll see what happens with that when he's actually sentenced. But to me, that is the dumbest thing of all, because, dude, you're married to one of the most famous women in the world. You have to get permission to be able to move back and forth with her between New York and California. So it's not like you're just Joe Blow off the street moving somewhere trying to get by on the system and not register. It's like they are waiting for you to register. They were just like literally waiting for you to fuck up, and you handed it to them on a fucking silver platter. So that's the part I don't get. But and I guess you also heard about her cousin's best friend's swollen balls
from an STD. Yeah.
Oh my God! I'm gonna take a picture and send it to you. That's what I have written down here. I was like, that shit is not the Rona. That was an STD.
You got an STD. Your fiance found out, realized that you cheated on her because she didn't have an STD herself. And then you blamed it on the vaccine. That's what happened. Like, I don't understand how people hear that story and enough people can't logically think of it. Like, when I hear it on the news channels, they're not mentioning that part. They're really legitimately taking this seriously. And I'm just like, y'all, can you please tell her that he had an STD? That's why she called off the wedding. Not because he couldn't have kids. It's because he cheated on her. Oh my gosh.
Legit, dude. I swear, I'm going to take a picture, because I'm like, that is an STD. It had, like, I was just like, what the fuck?
But why did she do it though? You know why she did it?
Why she do it?
She did it. Okay, so here is the reason why Nicki Minaj came out with this ridiculous story about her cousin's friend, right? The reason why is because her husband literally just pled guilty to the fact that he didn't register as a sex offender in California when they moved to California. All right. People were talking about that. They were putting it out there. That is what was associated with Nicki Minaj's name. Now, Nicki Minaj's name is no longer currently associated with her husband being a sex offender. It's associated with her cousin's friend's swollen balls.
Ah, making it make more sense. Look at you connecting them dots, girl.
That's it. Like that, I automatically thought. Like I read a comment on Twitter about that, and I was just like, "Yo, you're right," because we just talked about this, and now all of a sudden, ain't nobody mentioning the fact that her husband's a sex offender, and they were like, "That's two different entities." No, it's not.
No,
It's not. It's the reason why she can't. And okay, so it may not be why she. I think it's part of reason why she put the story out there. But when it started to blow up, the reason why she refuses to retract the story is because nobody is talking about her husband being a rapist. And that is the reason why. That is the reason why she's all about Tucker Carlson now. That's the reason why she's putting it all out there. She's fully like 100% into this whole lie that she's spreading about the vaccine. Why? Because now nobody is talking about the fact that you married a rapist.
And that he's looking at and you know what? I honestly had not really I did kind of connect the dots, but I really hadn't like just put it was just a passing thought. But now that you say it, it does make more sense because you brought up the next thing. And we talked about it a little bit the other day, and you said she shouldn't have done it. And I said it would all be a moot point because I wouldn't have done it. Like if she hadn't have married this man, it would all be a moot point. You wouldn't have to be talking about your cousin's best friend's swollen testicles, making up stories as to why he got dumped right before his wedding, because it seems like the wedding should have been pretty imminent, and that she dumped him right around the time they were supposed to get married. But it was because homeboy caught an STD. And obviously, if he can't have kids, then it was pretty bad. It was a pretty bad STD if it
that he never took care of.
If it made him infertile. So, that's what's the two different entities. The reason why homeboy's balls are swollen to the size of tennis balls or whatever, and the vaccine. And the fact that and if it putting it in that light, it makes this you doing what you're doing as far as this goes makes you even more irresponsible than marrying a fucking sex offender. Because if you would rather have this much misinformation and doing the disservice that you're doing to the community, because I do agree with Joy Reid on one part. For her to have the platform that she has, and for her to be doing, to be saying the shit that she's saying, and to be embracing Fox News when all they've ever done to you and said about you up until this week has been negative, then it makes you a hypocrite. On top of just, I don't even know if I have the words for it, but it's like. And at the end of the day, she also dropped out of the MTV Awards this week, and everyone's like, "Why she dropped out?" Well, she dropped out because she tested positive for Rona. She has the Rona, so that's why she did not perform, or she had to drop out of MTV. She didn't go to the Met Gala because she said she refuses to get vaccinated to go to the Met Gala. But then in another tweet, she says that ultimately she is going to get vaccinated because she has to go on the road and she has to perform. So make it make sense. Make up your mind. Like, I understand the initial hesitancy because at first I was hesitant. It's not like when I heard about this, I was just gung ho and said, "Oh yeah, let me just go get this vaccine." I don't know too many people that were just like, "Yeah, let me just go shoot this shit up in my arm," and without actually doing some type of legitimate research. Like, were you excited about it?
To be honest, I had no problem. I don't like doctors or needles. So that's where my hesitancy was. But I'm one of those people where I wasn't hesitant. And the reason why is because I trusted doctors. I don't like doctors because I've had bad experiences when I was younger. But I don't like going to a doctor. But Like I had no hesitancy on knowing I was going to get vaccinated. It was just me getting to the point that they were going to stick a needle in my arm. I had to wrap my mind around the fact that a needle was going in my arm. Like I really am scared of needles as a grown ass woman. So, but no, I was not hesitant about getting vaccinated.
Yeah, I was hesitant about the fact that, hey, you know, I channeled up all the years, and I'm like, okay, but you know, black people and vaccines and all that, but once I put all that aside and I put my fears aside, and I actually did research, like I paid attention to the science. I hate when people say, oh, because she also said, well, I'm going to do my research. We know most people are, when they mean by research, is they're going on Facebook trying to find people who agree with them, who can co-sign on their opinions, and encourage them to go take horse dewormer and horse poison and this other stupid animal thing that they're now trying to take, and hydra whatever that doesn't work, and bleach shots and all that bullshit. That's the stuff that they're talking about. Let me do my research. Let me go see what else I can do to harm my body, rather than trust the science and and take this. So, you know, that part drives me crazy. It's like, are you going to really do some legitimate, non-biased research? Or better yet, listen to the people who are in the hospital telling you not to make the same mistakes they did with their dying breaths, and telling you to go get vaccinated, you know. But yeah, so I just have a problem with the hypocrisy and leaning into being Fox News's, what would we call her? Like,
wait, when was she hypocrite?
Huh?
When was she a hypocrite?
Because on one hand, she's saying she's not going to get vaccinated, but then on the other hand, she's saying at the end, I am going to get vaccinated because I have to go on tour. And then all of a sudden, she's retweeting Fox News's tweets about her, even though, and leaning into her.
It keeps the story going. When's the last time we talked about Nicki Minaj besides talking about the fact that her husband's a rapist?
You're never going to get tired of saying that, are you?
Oh, no. I want to make sure that everybody who listens to this remembers the fact that she married a rapist who refused. Like, I don't want people to forget this, because people are concentrating on the wrong thing. They're concentrating on this ridiculous story that she put out there. They're concentrating on the fact of, oh, she doesn't want to get vaccinated, she's going to do her own research, all this other bullshit that's out there that she wants you to focus on, because she wants you to forget that her husband's a fucking rapist. And he refused to acknowledge that by moving to California and not registering as a sex offender. You're a sex offender who moved to another state. Like, no, I don't want nobody to forget that, because I don't want them to get distracted from what this is really about. The fact that people realize who her husband was. And so she wants the attention on something else, because she was losing fans over this. She was losing fans over the fact that she married a rapist. So yes, I'm going to continue to say it every single time that I speak about her.
And, you know, and again, that's the choice she made. Those are the consequences she has to. Those are the consequences she has to deal with, for what he did. Like, you chose that. No one. And God.
Can we have a real conversation? I got something to bring up.
Okay, what?
Can we talk about how, as a Black community, we always feel like we got to ride and die to the end, even when we know the people are wrong? Like, why?
Black women or Black community?
Just Black people in general. Like, why? Why we got to ride to the end? Why can we not acknowledge that she did wrong? It doesn't take away from her talent. It doesn't take away from her talent. It doesn't take away from who she was. But we have to acknowledge the fact that Nicki Minaj is playing us. She called Joy Reid a coon. Who the fuck is the coon? Because Joy Reid don't never play to the white community. But you did. Like her fans went and they protested the CDC. Like, are you serious?
I heard that. That was ridiculous.
Like, really? I'm gonna trust Nicki Minaj over the CDC?
You know, and And it couldn't be good enough that the White House admitted that, hey, yes, we would like to have a conversation with you. We can put
They
you
didn't
in touch.
invite her though.
Yeah, and they didn't invite you. So you want to take it and twist it to something else. Like, hey, just the White House wanting to call and talk to me about anything would be awesome enough. But and I agree with you. I don't dispute anything you say. And I just think that it's sad to what she's letting her horrible personal choices affect her professional choices. And at
Yes.
this point, they're all intertwined. And your personal choices, I'll never understand it. Cause like I told someone, it couldn't have been me. Like you could have been my high school sweetheart, the love of my life. And I know what you did. And granted, at the time that it happened, and don't take this in any way as an excuse for what he did, at the time that it happened and where it happened and who uh and I hate saying this, who the victim was, I get that you were probably, considering y'all were both the same age, 16 minors. I get they charged you as an adult. I get that the system probably screwed you over because you were black. And we know that the unfair justice system. So that's two different issues for me. I'm not saying he's innocent, but I get that. I understand that. But you saying that versus he never did it and turning your fans on this person, because when a woman calls you and tells you woman to woman, I understand your situation, I know what you're going through, but he did it. I don't understand that. So you're letting all of this. It's like you were willing to throw everything away for what?
A
So
good dick, baby.
it can't be that good, dog.
To her it is.
It,
To her
it
it is.
it
He
can't be
probably
that
the
good.
only one that ever truly loved her.
Oh God. Well, yeah. I don't understand it. I'm at the point of make it make sense. Like so I guess when he's actually sentenced, then she'll come up with something else, some other asinine story to take away from the fact that he's going to probably go away for a little bit because of horrible decisions he made back then and horrible decisions he's made since.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, anyway, speaking of people making horrible decisions when it comes to Rona, Miles Teller. You like Miles Teller. You're a fan, right?
I don't know why you always trying to like throw these people at me, Eddie.
No, I wasn't trying to do that. I just remember us having a conversation, and I want to say I want to say that you said initially you were a fan, and I was like, I don't like it.
Initially, I was
Okay,
a fan. I
okay,
was until I realized he's an absolute dick. But yeah, I was a fan.
okay. That's where I was getting at because I remember the conversation. I'm like, nah. I was like, no, I'm not a fan, and um. So this kind of goes back to a Chris Rock joke. Well, a couple months ago, earlier this summer, Miles Teller was in Hawaii, and he said that he got beat up in a bathroom. And when I read it, I was like,
Wait, what?
yeah, he was in Hawaii. He and his wife, they were on vacation, and he said that two dudes just kicked his ass in the bathroom. And it's not funny because no one deserves to
That
just
shit's
be.
hilarious. Stop it.
No one just deserves to be assaulted. But when I saw it, I was like, that old Chris Rock joke. I wouldn't have done it, but I kind of understand. Like, it was one of those things where if it were someone else, another famous person saying that two people just randomly came up to him and kicked their asses in a bathroom, you would have been like, oh man, that's so sad. But because it is who it is, everybody's like, oh. And then, Twitter was like, oh, he probably deserved it. But anyway, after I tell you this, you'll probably agree with Twitter. Well, he shut down the whole production of the Godfather series he's working on, for being him, basically. He refused to get vaccinated. If you want to still be on that whole personal choice shit, whatever. But he also, not only did he refuse to get vaccinated, he refused to be tested on a regular basis, I guess, until it was too late and he had no choice to be tested. And it turns out that he had Rona. And so they shut down the whole production. I was trying to check and see. I haven't, and this was roughly about 2 weeks ago, and I was checking to see before we went live on air. Look at me trying to sound all professional. I was checking to see if they were back in production, and I hadn't heard anything about them starting production back up. So it just.
So basically, what you're saying is that Miles Teller got his ass kicked, and he's still a fucking dick. Gotcha.
Yeah, because the thing in Hawaii predated him shutting down the Godfather production.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Can I just say shit happens? I don't know. I don't know what my response should be to this.
Well, it also makes me wonder something that we talked about. I know it made our list of movies, and I think we may have mentioned it briefly at the end of the last episode. I don't know. But I know it made our list of movies, and I'm still harping on the fact that you haven't seen the original Top Gun. I've added it to the Inception list, which means that one day when hell freezes over, maybe. Yes.
Oh, we're waiting for hell to freeze over first, though, right?
No. Well, if you count climate change, we're probably already there. But
no, we're not there yet. We just have a couple ice storms going on, but we're gonna wait till hell freezes over.
Not literal hell, figuratively. So the point is, you will eventually.
I'll watch these movies figuratively.
I hate you. Why? I am now accepting applications for a new partner. Okay, it might not have the same ring to it. And on a day when we came up with our combined name, we're Teddy, y'all. And now she wants to break Teddy up. Like, Teddy didn't even last long.
My bad. Like, I mean, I feel like you stepped into that one though.
I feel like I did too, but you're breaking up Teddy. Like, Teddy forever. We were gonna have a hashtag and everything. Like, Teddy was gonna be the next great thing.
We're gonna break up like Blackstreet.
See, that still hurts. Or like Guy or Jodeci. Why you? Oh no, the ultimate new edition. You like Bobby Brown. Every time we try to get back together, you can't get your shit right. You know.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. We so off task. My bad.
We had a hit mini-series and shit, and we thought we was doing something, and we were gonna go into it, and then you bobbied it up. Like, why you gonna be the Bobby Brown of the group?
You see what happens when you let drugs in? Oh God.
Okay. So back to the original point. Top Gun, Inception, maybe one day. All right. So after we did our movie episode of Extra Butter with the fall movie preview, check it out on the podcast. It was announced that Top Gun had been delayed, not just by a couple of weeks, but until next year. So I was wondering if, and after this Miles Teller story came out, I was like, I think I texted you. I'm like, is he the reason? Because you know, Cruz ain't about that life. Like, Cruz ain't fucking around with Rona.
Hey, no, he's the only one that can make Scientology survive. He can't die. He'll live forever, y'all.
He might be L. Ron Hubbard reincarnated. Stop! See, why do you make me do these things? Okay. I was trying to be good and all professional and stuff, and
this is what happened when Teddy get together.
So I was just wondering if maybe, me doing my Perry Mason dime store investigation again, was just wondering if, he was the reason, if he could have been the reason why it was just all of a sudden randomly scrapped to next year.
But they finished it.
Yeah, they finished it. It was on our schedule. I remember we talked about it.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was coronavirus the way that we think. I really do think it was that Tom Cruise knows that he needs his movies to be as successful as possible. So he's hoping that if he pushes it till next year, that it's going to do way better than the movies that are going along this year, because next year will be better with the coronavirus.
Fingers crossed. This year was supposed to be better. These people
he's the one that has his fingers crossed, that hoping that we'll be better than we are this year.
Oh yeah, because these people don't quit taking horse poison and shit. We gonna be right in the same position, going on some other crazy mutated
I
ass
have a
variant.
very evil thought to that, and I'm not going to say it.
So, and also the Godfather series seems to be a little cursed because you'll never believe who Miles Teller actually replaced in the series.
Who?
Army Hammer. No joke. Not a joke.
So they replaced one asshole with another one. Oh shit! I did not know that, Eddie.
Yeah, so I was just like,
Damn.
yeah, the God, it just seems like it might be cursed. Yeah.
Woo! Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's move away from the assholes. Wait. I feel like we have one more on the list. Go ahead.
Who's the next asshole?
McDreamy.
Oh, okay. You want to go there? We can do that. So
Yeah,
speaking of
let's roll up.
let's just keep the assholes going. Got the preparation H.
And
So
you know what? This is like we should have brought back our white man segment.
Oh, problematic ass white men. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This would have been a good time to dust that one off. We haven't had this many in one episode in a while.
Yeah. But we just gonna go. This is just, we're now saying that this is the segment, y'all.
This is the segment. So one of our favorite shows, old school shows. At one point, I don't care if you still watch it, if you're not as faithful.
It's still one of the greatest shows ever.
It is. And at one point in time, you were a diehard fan of Grey's Anatomy if you're into pop culture. Because even though I don't watch it like I used to, I still keep up with it. I know what the characters are doing and all that stuff. But at its height, it was like McDreamy, McSteamy, all of that kind of stuff. And so, after and Shonda Rhimes, the creator, she admits in the beginning she put up with a lot of shit that she probably shouldn't have because she was finding her voice. It was her first show. She was finding her voice as a showrunner, as a Black woman in this industry. So she just kind of, really as one of those names. But when she realized that she didn't have to do that anymore, she let a lot of people go. And I think that was probably starting with, what's her name? I still call her Isabel, but Katherine Heigl, that whole thing. Katherine Heigl, Isaiah Washington, when all that shit blew up, that's when she was like, "Oh no, I'm not about that life," So, and I remember her saying after that when she did finally talk about it, she said she was no longer going to put up with shit on her own show. So, I know one of the most controversial deaths that people had a problem with was Patrick Dempsey when McDreamy died. And they were like, why kill off McDreamy? Like him and Meredith were just really getting their family started and all of that kind of stuff. And at first, you heard stuff behind the scenes. Like, I know that why am I having a brain fart today? The
Ellen
lady
Pompeo?
Yeah. He and Ellen Pompeo, at first their families were really close. They were really good friends. They got along great. And I remember her saying something that they weren't getting along as great. I know he did something. He cheated. And at one point, he and his wife were going to get a divorce. They had filed for divorce and all that kind of stuff. And then he moved out of the house. And when he died, a lot of people thought it had to do with Ellen Pompeo getting him fired because they weren't getting along anymore. But it actually turns out that it was Shonda who said he had to go because I guess he got too big for his britches and thought he could tell the boss what to do.
Mm-hmm. He, because this is at the point where she was doing way more projects. So she had given up fully running Grey's Anatomy. Like she wasn't, the front, showrunner
because she was
Grey's Anatomy.
Huh? She moved over to Scandal, right?
Yeah, like no, it wasn't Scandal because Scandal was still being run by, I think his name is Frank something. It was
How to Get Away with Murder. Was she doing those?
It was just I think she was just building up her production. She was building up her production company because she had For the People. She had, oh my God, it was a show before that. Like she was doing
the Romeo and Juliet show.
Yeah, like she was doing other shows, and during that time, he really, really got out of hand. Like Patrick Dempsey thought that he was the star, like he was the one calling the shots. At the end of the day, everybody knows who calls the shots besides Shonda is Ellen Pompeo. But so he was just, they said that he made the job like not worth it. Like he complained so much, like he was getting to Katherine Heigl level on the complaints that he had. And so when she went to the set and she finally like saw it firsthand, that's when she said, it's either I go or he goes, but one of us is going. So they ended up letting him go.
Yeah, and at that point, even though it was her show, her name on it, because he was one of the stars, and McDreamy is one of those penultimate couples. She did have to get permission from ABC to like ask him. So I was surprised, and like I said, I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know that, because when he left, of course, and at the time, that was one of the things that I can credit her with, is that she doesn't do anything to step out and ruin people's careers. Like she didn't try to, at least as far as I know or saw, it wasn't this whole thing that he was this asshole or all that. Like you heard the stories about him and Ellen Pompeo not getting along anymore. And basically it coincided with his divorce, and people just made it seem like she sided with his wife, like he was wrong for cheating on his wife and all that kind of stuff. But, Shonda didn't just come out and say he was an asshole. It was like, oh, he's leaving to pursue other projects and all of that. And at the time, he was one of those top billed actors. And I was like, but damn, he's not getting any projects. Like, if you think about it, he really has not had steady work since Grey's Anatomy. And he was getting cast in movies and stuff at his height. And so it's just like, so the rumors about you getting a big head and turning into a diva asshole really were true.
Yep.
And so I know he and his wife got back together, and he said he had to go to therapy and do a lot of rebuilding that relationship and a lot of other relationships. So I guess in a way he acknowledged it, but he just never acknowledged how bad it was. So I guess after all of that, it's amazing that they had him back on Grey's Anatomy this year for a little bit of an arc.
Because Shonda ain't there no more?
Well, it's still her show.
It's still her show, but she ain't there no more.
Yeah, but I'm sure.
And they had to jump through hoops to, like, they really had to work out a schedule for him to come back.
Yeah, and I'm sure she signed off on it. I'm sure Ellen Pompeo signed off on it, like, because, like you said, that was Katherine Heigl level damage. He was just like full on, like, bruh, you don't know what side your bread is buttered on. Like, who the fuck are you type shit. Like, that
I'd have been like, first of all, this show is named after my character. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, like, that was some bridges burned shit. Like, the show has survived and even thrived. Like, people still miss McDreamy, but we know that it's Grey's Anatomy. Like, it is Ellen Pompeo's show. Like, she is the star. So I'm sure they had to jump through some hoops and just to get him back. And I'm sure those two women also co-signed on it. Like, I forgot the name, Beth Beers, I think, is who's the showrunner now.
Yeah.
And I think she's one of Shonda's production partners. I'm sure she didn't just, unilaterally make that decision to bring them back. I'm sure there were some pretty in-depth, involved conversations to make that happen. But yeah, that's kind of sad, because I liked McDreamy, and I know I was kind of sad when he left. And I also like Patrick Dempsey as an actor. The original Can't Buy Me Love, which I think was one of his first major acting gigs, So, and in between Grey's Anatomy and Can't Buy Me Love, he really didn't have a lot of projects. It was just a little bit here and there. So I know that show boosted his career, and it's just sad when you get to that point where you think you're bigger than the show and bigger than the people who got you there. But I guess, what is it? The caucasity of it all. Some people are always predisposed to get. I'm not against second chances. Don't.
That's the SAT word. What's the SAT word, Eddie?
What? Predisposed?
No, the C word.
What C word? Did I say it? Oh, the caucasity?
There you go, y'all.
Mm. Well, yeah, you know. So anyway, I was like, what C word? What are we talking about? All right. So I know you're excited about this movie, and I know this next person is one of your favorite actresses. Kristen Stewart in the Diana movie. Why are people trying to make me go see this damn movie? She is
I'm gonna go
getting
see it. I said
she's
from the jump I was gonna go see it.
you did. And we kind of talked about this, and I was like, because it's Kristen Stewart, and she's not the best actress. Twilight aside, just everything I've seen her in, she doesn't ever have to emote a lot of emotion. Like it seems like she just has one gear as an actress.
She's
And
very typecast, though. I realize that.
yeah, so maybe stepping out and like, okay, and I remember saying this, the makeup, they did a beautiful job in making her over into Diana Spencer, to Queen Princess Diana. Um, so I the hair, the makeup, everything I've seen from there. And I know that when we talked about it, it was on the film festival circuit. I want to say it was Venice, maybe, or Cannes, but it was getting a lot of press, and so you know, I kind of dismissed some of that when they say, oh, this movie got a 15-minute standing ovation, because hell, Stillwater got a 20-minute standing ovation, some to that level. So, but I'm starting to see more and more talk about this being her Oscar vehicle, and I'm like, really? Like Kristen Stewart and Oscar, just not two words I ever thought would be mentioned in the same sentence. And so now
you be listening to those people, but I don't.
I just like, and I take it with a grain of salt when they were saying that the movie was getting all these ovations, because I'm like, okay, it's the film festival. It's the first time we've had a legit film festival. They're trying to pull this off in 2 years, so everything's going to get a standing ovation because they're just happy to be out the house and back. But legitimately, when I heard Kristen Stewart was playing Princess Diana, I was like, and you were too. I was like, why? What the fuck? Like, really?
I only said it because she ain't English. She ain't British. Usually Americans have horrible accents.
Okay.
We don't do accents well. I'm just
So aside from the fact that she's not British, that was the only reason why you were like, why? What the fuck?
I mean, Kristen Stewart isn't one of my favorite actresses, so I'd say what the fuck. No, but I'd say what the fuck to any movie that she was casted in.
Okay, so
I mean, like, I'm an equal opportunity what the fuck for Kristen Stewart, so like it don't matter what the movie is.
Okay. So I guess what you're saying is you're gonna make me watch this fucking movie, aren't you?
I'm gonna go watch it. I'm not gonna make you do anything.
Look here, Teddy. Okay, y'all. Full disclosure, the calendar is pretty much filled for the year.
We are not doing an episode of this movie.
That's what she says now. Let me finish. I said I would not be surprised if this movie ends up on the calendar next year.
I wouldn't even do Eyes of Tammy Faye, and you know that movie is named after me.
The movie is named after you, not. What did you smoke? What are you smoking? You want that good shit today. I want some of what you got. Like,
I'm on a roll today, y'all.
I want some of that Tammy Faye. Is that the new strain that they got out now? That Tammy Faye? I want some of that.
It is, and it's that good shit.
It is, because you are on one. Like, okay. Eyes of Tammy Faye, actually, once I saw the trailer, it looked better than I thought it would. That one actually looks interesting. That one has made the list. Like, yes, I actually want to see that. I'm not sold on Diana, and I'm not sold on this Diana talk. And I guess the whole point of this conversation, getting back to whenever I started, is why the fuck are they making me think I want to see this movie with all this Kristen Stewart Oscar talk? And it's not just from like one random source. Like, I've seen it in several different places. Legitimate places, not like Page 6 or TMZ. Girl, did you know TMZ was bought out by Fox?
I did not.
Yes.
I don't even know how to feel about that.
$50 million. Harvey sold TMZ. So it's now going to be even more of a hot mess.
Damn. Yeah. That kind of threw me off.
Yeah, I know. I was just on. We were on Kristen Stewart, and we ended up on TMZ.
My bad. Let's go to some good stuff. Let's do MTV.
Okay. Oh, so you didn't want to hear how your boy Pierce found a home with Fox too?
No,
got it all
let's
around
go to MTV.
All right. So, so we are gonna watch the Kristen Stewart movie. Is that where we're ending that?
Oh, I'm gonna watch it. If you want to come watch it with me, go for it. But I'm definitely gonna be there.
See, if I watch it, though, you're gonna change your mind. We're gonna do an episode of it. Okay. So the MTV Video Music Awards were this weekend or last weekend. Did you watch? No.
You already know.
I already answered your question.
But I went on YouTube.
What were your favorite YouTube performances?
Lil Nas X.
Is that the only one you watched?
No, I watched 3 of them. And he was the only one worth watching.
What were the other 2?
Normani. And she looked like a knockoff of Aaliyah and TLC mixed together. And then Chloe.
Oh, what did you think about the Chloe one?
Trash.
Do you like the song?
No.
I'm gonna go out and say Lil Nas X was my favorite performance. Probably because I thought it was the most original. Like, I wasn't crazy about this year's performances. Even Justin Bieber. I mean, I love Bieber.
Did he perform?
He did with the kid Leroy.
Oh shit! I gotta go on YouTube and find it.
So, I don't know.
Oh my god! Wait, hold on. Did you see like the whole thing about what the fans said to Haley? When they went to the Met Gala?
Oh, Haley Steinfeld?
What? No, Justin Bieber's wife.
Oh no! Oh, how they were trolling her about Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
People just need to let that go.
No, I was just like, that is so disrespectful. Like, I was just like, damn, like they've been married for years, y'all. Come on.
They need to let that go. Justin and Selena, they weren't good for each other. They weren't good to each other. They were
a
kids.
very toxic relationship.
They were kids. They were young. It was horrible for both. And he's grown now. He's trying to move on. She's moving on. Well, He's moved on. He's happily married. Just let it go. Like, that's that toxic fandom shit we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I thought that was just ridiculous. But anyway, I did not see Justin Bieber. You said you like Lil Nas X's performance?
I did.
I love his embrace of who he is, and I love the fact that he is willing to troll all the haters, like who want to pretend like they don't hate him because he's gay, and it's rather than he's just being too much. He doing too much. No. It's because you don't like the fact that he's gay and he's being out there, because Chloe did the same thing. Chloe was extremely explicit, and the conversation on Chloe and her performance, or on the performances of any of the females, would not be on the same level of how people are talking about Lil Nas X. Like, he doing too much on stage. Why? Because he's a gay dude living it up. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Lil Nas X. I never have. Not even the crazy, stupid Montero video. Which one video of the year? Call Me by Your Name. The one with the devil lap dance, which was it was an innovative video. Like, that one, actually, I like the song, but I was not crazy about the video. But as far as creativity and everything goes, it was a good video. It was probably one of the best. I also liked Pop Star, because Pop Star with DJ Khaled and Drake, the video actually stars Justin Bieber, because they did it like in the height of quarantine. And so Justin Bieber is lip syncing all of Drake's parts. So it was very creative too. And I loved it. It was cute. Um, but yeah, that was probably, I like the song Bad Habits. Like, I like Ed Sheeran's new music as long as I don't watch the videos.
Yeah, he's going real weird.
Yeah, like that whole Joker theme that's going throughout his videos is kind of like throwing me off, but I can't wait till his new album comes out. And then just of course the weekend is the weekend. So, but as far as video of the year, I don't have any problems with Montero Call Me by Your Name winning. Um, and I remember initially when we had another conversation about Lil Nas X, my opinion hasn't changed. I'm all for embracing who you are, and I do think it's a double standard because and you brought up a good point. If it wasn't for him performing, then they probably would have caught out some of the more explicit uh performances by the women, Normani and Chloe. But since it was Little Nas X, he took the heat for what they normally would have been calling out. And it is because he's gay. I'm like, okay, so you don't have a problem with women getting up there. Well, you do have a problem with women getting up there until the gay man does it. And then it's like, okay, we're going to choose the gay man to bash this time.
Well,
no pun intended.
I even feel like even if they have a problem with the women, okay, so I'll be honest. Like I have not watched the videos. I'm not watching his videos because they're just ridiculous. But I haven't seen a performance of him yet since Hometown Road, whatever that song was called. What was that song called?
Hometown Road.
Oh, was that
Old
the name
Town
of it?
Road. Old Town Road.
Old Town Road. There we go. So this is the first performance that I've seen of Lil Nas X, and then when you compare it to other performances where people just shrug, like I'm gonna go back and say, when Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B performed WAP, like they may talk about it, but it's kind of like a shrug, right? Like they be like, "Ooh, they did too much," but they not on the level of how people are talking about Lil Nas X. Like you got people supporting Boosie because he's being so disrespectful to Lil Nas X.
Okay, so can we take this back to the conversation that we had about Nicki Minaj and what we do specifically in the Black community, especially when it comes to our homophobia. And the whole thing about Megan and Cardi, it got a whole different type of hate. Like there were people like parent moms for TV and all that shit. They were out there for them. But
that's white people, Eddie.
Some Black people were out there for them
too, but not majority of them.
But this one is because he's gay.
He's gay.
And you even have the people who are like, oh, he's playing into the gay for clout. Like he's just pretending to be gay
and
for
let
clout.
him do it.
So I'm all for him embracing who he is. Let me say, like Old Town Road, I hated that song. I hated the BTS remix. I hated that song. I did like Panini. And as far as he goes, what I like about Lil Nas X, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of his music, but I watch his videos. Like he does all the treatment. He does most of the treatments for his videos. He does most of the storytelling. He writes his own music. He directs a lot of his videos. So I love his PR. He's a very talented and creative young man, and I love that about him. And I also love the fact that he is out and proud in a business, hip hop, that is misogynistic, homophobic, and he's like, fuck it, and he's still out there winning. And I hope that it encourages others, especially young Black people, to embrace who they are. Young, gay, straight, whatever. Just be you. Go for it. So Bootsy Badass can eat a bag of dicks. Well, a bag of swollen dicks.
Huge bag of dicks, because he's really obsessed with Lil Nas X. But
which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. What I will say is I had a very open conversation with a couple of my friends about this, and one of them said that it's because everywhere they look, all they see is gay people. Even nobody got a problem with it now. Then they made the comment, people are just gonna soon enough, gay people is gonna there's gonna be more gay people than there is gonna be straight. Like, to be straight is gonna be the fad rather than being gay. And I was like, but being gay is not a fad. Like, I said, so the thing that people don't realize is representation, like you said, Eddie, representation matters. And what people refuse to acknowledge is, at one point, Black people never saw themselves on TV. And when we start to see ourselves on TV, when we start to see ourselves in movies, it became a big thing. And we heard the same exact thing from white people. Why is it every show I turn on, they got to have a Black character? Like, why? Like, that's not necessary. And so I feel like, but it was on representation, right? We want to see ourselves on TV. We want to know it's okay being Black in America, even though we still go through issues. But so I feel like I had to say the same thing goes with Lil Nas X, is representation matters, especially Black men being gay. Like, we don't see enough. And not that, because when we think of it, it's very like explicit, right? Like, they're very feminine and girl and like the snap. That's all we see. So I said people need to start seeing that they're everyday people and stop falling into this stereotype of what it means to be gay, what it means to be a lesbian, what it means to be bisexual. And that's what I appreciate about Lil Nas X. He's a hip hop star that is becoming like the biggest hip hop star right now, and he's gay. Do you know how big of a deal that is? Mm-hmm. Like, it's huge. And that's what I said. It's huge. It's huge, not for us as adults, because we've already set our mindset. I said, but it's huge for young Black boys who are gay, who may feel that they can't be gay because they're not the feminine gay of what they always see on TV. And that's where the appreciation for Lil Nas X comes around, because it shows them that there's not one type of way that you need to be in order to be gay. Like, well, so.
And embracing that. And also something else we missed about earlier, Michael K. Williams passed away last week, and he starred in The Wire, and he played Omar, and Omar was a gangster. Like, Omar was a cold motherfucker. Omar was gay. And that was one of the first times also you saw one of those representations. Like, you look at Omar, you wouldn't know he was gay. And so like you say, representation matters in playing, because when you think about it, you don't think about gangsters being gay. You don't think about rappers being gay. You don't think about there being masculine gay men. We get these stereotypes of gay men always just being effeminate or overly effeminate. And just like Black people, gay people come in all shapes, sizes, flavors, colors, whatever.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
So it's just like no one group is homogenous. We're not milk. We're not all the same. You have a diversity of populations and in all these different subsets of people and groups and all of this stuff. So I just applaud Lil Nas X for being who he is, being true to who he is, being creative to this whole and taking it. And I love it when he calls people out. I don't think he should have to, and I don't want to hear shit from Bootsy Badass, because you basically paid somebody to rape your son to quote unquote prove that he wasn't gay. So you paid a stripper or a prostitute to go have sex with. I think your son was 12 or 13. So, go fuck yourself.
But let's even talk about like something recently. Like, you're literally, and people don't want to acknowledge it, you're riding on the coattails of Lil Nas X. That's the reason why he keeps opening his mouth off of everything that Lil Nas X does. It's because you're riding on his coattails. Because you realize that you got people being like, yeah, you making sense. And so you talking more, and everything you say is about Lil Nas X. Like, dude, get your own shtick. Get it? Because I'm starting to question who you are and why are you so obsessed with this dude?
Like I said, that's probably something for him and his therapist to work out. Because if you ask me, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying it's something a little bit, you might
self-hate, baby. Self-hate.
You might need to go work that out on your therapist's couch. But The big winners at this year's awards were Lil Nas X and Olivia Rodrigo. BTS won for Best K-pop for Butter, and they also won for Butter won something else. No, it wasn't Best Choreography. How the hell did Butter lose to Harry Styles for Best Choreography? I will never understand that. But it was Best Group. They also won for Best Group. So so they were nominated for more awards than they had been nominated for in the past. So that was a good thing. And they won Best K-pop and Best Group. And they also
they won summer
Song of the Summer as well.
Song of the Summer. Yeah, they won that too.
Yeah, so they won 3. And they have also left South Korea for the first time in 2 years. They are headed to New York to take part in the UN General Assembly meetings this week as representatives for South Korea. They looked, of course, they did their airport walk videos, and everyone on Twitter was talking about them flexing their diplomatic passports. So, but yeah, we'll see if they're just here for that or if they'll get in some other business since they are out of country for the first time in 2 years. So shout out to BTS doing big things. And did you hear about the Grendel series? You sent me that.
Oh, huh?
The Grendel series, the Muslim superhero.
Yeah.
His name. Abu Bakr Ali is playing Grendel. And it's based on a comic book series of the same name. And basically, he's a hunter, a fencer, a writer, and an assassin who fights organized crime in New York City to avenge the death of his lost love. And then he ends up taking over the crime scene himself. So I guess it's basically he becomes like an anti-hero. You don't like that term.
I mean, he's still a hero. He just happens to be fighting the bad guys the way that the bad guys fight the good guys. But yeah, I'm really, really excited. I showed it to one of our mutual friends, and she was just like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I didn't even know that." And I was just like, "I know, right?" Like, I'm excited, definitely watching it. Like, I'm already excited. Can't wait for it to come out.
I am too. Again, we should call this one Representation Matters, but the one where assholes get their due and representation matters.
Yeah, I think that's the show today.
Okay, that's going to be the show title, the one where assholes get their due and representation matters. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. And again, I love seeing, especially Muslim actors. I'm quite tired of the whole all Muslims are terroristic. I think we're way beyond that, and I love seeing when they are not typecast in those roles, just like we're not all gangsters. So yeah, I'm looking forward, and it actually sounds interesting. And Netflix, hopefully, Netflix has become like NBC. You gotta be careful about a Netflix show because Netflix will pull the plug in a minute.
She's still upset about her Woo Assassins, y'all.
Why you gotta call me out like that? But I am. But I'm getting Woo Assassin movies eventually.
You are. So eventually. They've already been taped. I think they're just waiting to put them out.
So that eases the pain a little bit, just because But yeah, it came up in my feed the other day, and I'm like, I really want to rewatch it, but I don't because it still cuts deep. It cuts really deep. So, and that I believe is the show. Is there anything else? Anything we missed?
Oh, okay. So this just came into my head because we was talking about is there any K-pop news that I wanted to bring up? So Hendry is coming out with his own song. Because he was the one that's supposed to be doing Jalapeno with Lucas, and then Lucas had his whole big drama, so now he's on hiatus until they can figure it out or enough time passed. And so they say that Hendry is just going to come out with his own song. He's already recorded it in the time slot of what should have been him and Lucas time. So,
and every time I perform that song, I'm kicking Lucas in his ass.
Definitely. Now, I did hear parts of it. I got into a little bit of a YouTube, like, discussion, a discussion, because I listened to the lyrics and they're not good, Eddie. So he's rapping in English. So he's a rapper in the group NCT, and then Lucas was a rapper as well. So, but he's rapping in English, and the words that he put together, like his flow is completely off. And so somebody was just like, "Oh, well, we got to understand that English is his third language." I said, "That ain't got nothing to do with the flow of his words," but okay. So yeah, but you can go listen to it yourself and tell me what you think.
I'll wait till the full thing comes out because I'm not impressed with the snippets I heard, and
Oh, so you did hear the snippets?
Yeah, and it
It's
was
trash.
yeah.
I'm just put it out there. It's horrible.
And before we go, speaking of one thing, what did you think about Lalisa? Since I know we will never do a full.
Okay. So, like I love Lisa. Okay, I'm gonna put it out here. I am not a Blackpink fan. I am not. It's very, very hard for me to find girl pop groups that I really, really like. I think there's a couple of them, but definitely not Blackpink. But I love Lisa. Like I am a huge fan of hers. I like her personality. Like I like how she presents herself. And I'm gonna be honest and say the song was trash. The video was amazing. Beautiful, beautiful video. The song is trash. And she didn't even write it herself. She didn't write it herself. So yeah, but it's gonna be big. It's sold. She's gonna be hot. Like yeah, she's definitely gonna be at the top of her game because she's in Blackpink and they're the biggest girl group in the world, because they are. But yeah, no. Like I listened to it once and I'll never listen to it again.
I have to agree with you on some parts, and I'm going to disagree. I do love Lisa. When I first heard it, I was like, no. The more I listen to it, I'm not going to say it's the best song ever. I'm not even going to say that I fully like the song. What I will say is it's like a fungus and it grows on you and it becomes this catchy little stupid thing that you cannot get out of your head. So after you hear the song, like I watched the dance video because I love watching dance videos. And one of the first things I told you is that I love that she actually dances and she's not doing that Blackpink hand waving thing that they do where you shake your non-existent hip and you wave your hands. So I love that she's actually dancing. But yeah, the lyrics are ridiculous. But it's just one of those things that, and so after I listened to it and I watched the dance video, I found myself saying La Lisa, LALAISA. I'm like, what the fuck? So,
but yeah, so it can catch, but it's still a fungus though.
Yeah, like it just grows on you, and you catch yourself being like, why am I singing this ridiculous song?
But you're only singing the catchy part that they want you to sing.
Yeah, because I don't know the rest. Like
exactly.
And honestly, when I was watching the dance video, I wasn't even paying attention to the lyrics, or I was trying not to, but they still catch in your head. But I do understand what you're saying. I was disappointed once we got over, because we kind of figured we were getting Rosé and it was going to be 2 songs or 1.5 songs. So this one, they got us good. They got 4 songs because they did the instrumentals to both of the songs. So I do like the beat. The beats are banging, but I really am disappointed. I think Lisa can do so much better. And
but here's my thing. Can she?
I would hope so. I think she can.
Think about it, because I had to. I had that mindset, right? And I really thought about it, and I said, "Can she?" I love her personality. I love who Lisa is, but talent-wise, amazing dancer. But can she do better than the 2 songs she put out?
I think so. I hope so.
You hope so, but deep down she can't.
I don't know that. I'm going to give her benefit of the doubt. I am. Because what I'm thinking, and I may be wrong, this is the catch-22. Because they already have the built-in fan base of the Blinks, and she's going to sell because of that. But as K-pop becomes more global, and I'm realizing that over these past 2 years, and I think other people are starting to realize it too, K-pop is not really a fad. Like in some way, form, or fashion, it is the new genre of music, new popular genre: country, R&B, hip hop, soul, pop, K-pop. So as it becomes more global and it becomes something that is and has more staying power, I'm hoping they realize that the international fans aren't necessarily going to be as loyal as the K-pop fans. So they're going to have to do better. Does that make sense? Like with the releases, like they have their built-in fan base. I get that. But as it branches out, they're going to have to do better with some of their, unless you just want to keep catering to that built-in specific fan base.
Well,
that's just my thing, and maybe that's just being too Western. But
yeah, because I disagree. So what I think of it as in their fan bases continue to grow, right? So it's not that they're just being successful off of who's been there the whole time. These groups are being successful because they're continuing to grow their fan base off of the music that they're currently putting out. I look at a perfect example of NCT. I listen and I'm like, NCT has I realize now they have a very, very different sound, and it's not my type of sound. It's an acquired taste, but they continue to put out these songs that are talking about ridiculous things because it sells, and they're still the number 2 K-pop boy group in the world. So it's their fan base is growing off of, this is what K-pop is. This is what K-pop is. Like, K-pop is not the Western influence. It's always had Western influence, but like what K-pop is now and what they're putting, that's what's selling. That's where the fan base is coming, because they're realizing the talent is there. It's just, I would hope that people are going to start to focus on the lesser known groups, the lesser known artists who are still a part of the K-pop world, who really showcase that talent, rather than the ones who have been built up off of having a teenage fan base. That's the built-in fan base. It's a teenage fan base where you look good and you good to go.
And I get what you're saying. And because that's what happened with BTS. BTS was the gateway, and we branched out into all these different groups, all these different sounds, all these different subgenres within K-pop. So, but what I'm trying to say is that I guess I said it wrong. I thought about it, and hopefully this will make a little bit more sense. You have the built-in fan base because you're Blackpink, because you're Blink. And the Blinks are going to be there. So the people who automatically, even the new fans that they've gained just within the past 2 years, the ones who love Blackpink, yes, Lisa was automatically going to have that success. People were automatically going to be interested because she's part of that group. And I get that. But what I'm saying is, if I were a fan of Blackpink, if I were a Blink and I was a new fan and I listened to Lisa's album, and some of the people, we work with different people. So some of the people that we worked with and we talked to it about, they have the same reaction. This isn't it. And so that I guess that's what I was trying to say is, in order, you're going off of that built-in fan base, but are you going to be able to sustain that by putting out that product? Does that make sense? Does that clarify it a little bit more?
Yes. Well, I do understand where you're coming from, but what I will say is that the answer is yes, they will be able to sustain it. And the reason why is because the loudest fans are the ones that will buy it no matter what it is. Those are the loudest fans. The loudest fans are the ones that are going to make it sell. The quiet fans, the ones that are disappointed in what Lisa has put out, aren't like the ones that I spoke to. They're not full Blinks. Like they're not Blinks. They are just the ones who be like, I can name songs that I like. Like, they like Ice Cream with Selena Gomez. They like How You Like That. Like, they like certain songs from Blackpink, but they're not full fans of Blackpink. So they can pick and choose what they're going to like. But the reason why Lisa will sell is because that Blink fan base is loud. And they will buy anything. And so because they're loud and they'll buy anything, it doesn't matter about the semi-fans that they have, because they're continuing to build fan base because they're out there. They're out there. Like, where do we focus our attention on? We focus our attention on the groups who are literally in our face, because we can acknowledge the fact that there are way better girl groups than Blackpink. Way better girl groups than Blackpink. But they're the biggest girl group in the world.
I'm still
Yeah.
looking for them. Like I'm with you. It's hard for me. I like individual female K-pop art. I like the soloists, but it's still hard for me to find a girl group that just doesn't start grating my nerves after a time. And we got to wrap this up. But I did listen to NCT. Not an NCT fan, and I did it because after the conversation we had the other day where we talked about how we like individual members, kind of like the same thing with Blackpink, but we can't just get fully on NCT. They do have a different sound. And I like the slower songs better than the faster songs. That was my takeaway from the album
I'll
that
still
they
take
released.
Monster X any day of the week, and I don't understand
Oh,
why they're not bigger than what they are right now.
hell yeah. Like there's no competition. There is none whatsoever. Like NCT, I can't tell you a song that will make the playlist. I just listen because that's what we do. And so I listen to say so I could talk about it. But yeah, definitely never compare NCT to Monster X. They're not even in the same league, category, or class.
Touche.
So yeah, but and I'm sure on we will be revisiting this conversation when we fit in another K-pop episode because it's coming. Especially after this conversation. Obviously, we do have a lot to talk about on that front. But that does it for this week's episode, or this latest episode of the Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify Podcasts. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the popcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug.
Pop, 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 pop.
Ah, see, now you're trying to make up and be Teddy again. You know you can't quit me. Anyway. Thank you as always. And until next time, I'm going to go find out where Tammy got that good shit from. I'm Eddie. No, the new title is the one where Tammy's on that good shit.
Oh my God. That'd be hilarious.
That is the new title.
They'd be like, okay, we got to know what this good shit is that Tammy's on. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right.
Until next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.